Everything you were taught about where civilization began may be incomplete. For centuries, the story of human origins has been told as if it started somewhere else, somewhere outside Africa. But long before the pyramids rose in Egypt, long before cities appeared in Mesopotamia, and long before writing existed anywhere on Earth, Africa already had a history measured not in centuries, but in millions of years. And today, this is not belief, it is evidence. When we talk about civilization, we often think of cities, writing, monuments, and kings. Names like Sumer, Babylon, and ancient Egypt dominate textbooks, documentaries, and museums around the world. These civilizations are impressive, but they are not the beginning. To understand how scientists know Africa is older than every civilization, we must step far beyond recorded history, into deep time. This story is not about pride or opinion. It is about fossils, stone tools, geological layers, and dating methods that allow scientists to reconstruct the earliest chapters of humanity. Because before civilization, there was humanity. And before humanity spread across the world, it began in Africa. When scientists say Africa is older than every civilization, they are not talking about nations or empires. They are talking about human presence, human innovation, and human evolution. Civilizations like Egypt and Mesopotamia are around 5,000 to 6,000 years old. But evidence of human ancestors in Africa stretches back over 6 million years. This means that by the time the first cities appeared in the Middle East, Africa had already been home to countless generations of humans and pre-humans, developing tools, adapting to climate, and shaping the future of our species. The difference is scale. Civilizations exist in history. Africa exists in prehistory. The strongest evidence begins with fossils. Across eastern and southern Africa, scientists have uncovered remains of early human ancestors unlike anything found elsewhere on Earth. In Ethiopia, Tanzania, Kenya, and South Africa, fossils tell a continuous story of human evolution. One of the most famous is Australopithecus afarensis, dating back about 3.9 million years. Another, Homo habilis, often called the handyman, lived around 2.4 million years ago and shows clear evidence of tool use. Later comes Homo erectus, appearing in Africa nearly 2 million years ago, long before migrating to other parts of the world. No other region has this uninterrupted fossil timeline. Mesopotamia has cities, but no human ancestors. Egypt has monuments, but no evolutionary fossils. Only Africa holds the full biological archive of humanity. These conclusions are not guesses. Scientists use precise dating methods to determine the age of African discoveries. One of the most important is radiometric dating, especially potassium-argon dating, used for very ancient sites. Volcanic ash layers surrounding fossils act like timestamps. By measuring radioactive decay, scientists can determine age with remarkable accuracy. At Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, stone tools and fossils have been dated to over 2.6 million years ago. At Hadar in Ethiopia, the remains of early hominins sit within clearly dated geological layers. In contrast, early Mesopotamian cities like Ur date to around 4000 BCE, a blink of an eye compared to Africa's timeline. Science does not rely on myths. It relies on measurable time. Civilization is often defined by technology, but long before writing, metallurgy, or architecture, there was stone. The Oldowan tool industry, the oldest known technology on Earth, emerged in Africa over 2.6 million years ago. These were not random stones. They were intentionally shaped tools used for cutting, scraping, and survival. Later came the Acheulean hand axe, a refined, symmetrical tool that required planning, skill, and foresight. These technologies spread from Africa to the rest of the world, not the other way around. By the time Mesopotamia was inventing writing, Africa had already mastered technology for survival across vast landscapes and climates. Perhaps the most decisive evidence comes from modern human fossils. The oldest remains of Homo sapiens, humans like us, have been found in Africa. At Jebel Irhoud in Morocco, fossils date to approximately 300,000 years ago. At Omo Kibish in Ethiopia, modern human remains date to around 195,000 years ago. No fossils of fully modern humans older than this exist anywhere else on Earth. Genetic evidence confirms this. Human DNA shows the greatest diversity among African populations, a clear sign of long-term habitation. In genetics, diversity means age. The longer a population exists, the more variation it accumulates. Africa is not just older than civilization, it is older than humanity everywhere else.
Egypt and Mesopotamia are often treated as the beginning of history, but they are chapters, not the opening page. Egyptian civilization begins around 3100 BCE. Mesopotamian cities emerge around 3500 BCE. By then, Africa had already seen millions of years of human evolution, the invention of tools, mastery of fire, complex social behavior. Even Egypt itself is part of Africa's later story, not its beginning. Civilization did not appear suddenly. It rose from foundations laid deep within African prehistory. Part of the answer lies in how history was traditionally studied. For a long time, historians relied heavily on written records. Since early African societies often preserved knowledge orally, they were excluded from historical narratives. Colonial-era scholarship also shaped global education systems, prioritizing regions familiar to European historians. Additionally, early discoveries in Africa were sometimes dismissed or underfunded, slowing recognition. This was not always deliberate, but it had lasting consequence. Today, modern archaeology, genetics, and anthropology have corrected much of this imbalance, using evidence, not ideologue. Africa's age is not a claim, it is a conclusion, written in fossils, measured in stone tools, confirmed by genetics. Civilizations rise and fall, but Africa stands at the foundation of them all, not as a rival but as the origin. To understand Africa's past is to understand humanity, because every road of human history leads back to one place. Not a city, not a kingdom, but a continent where our story began. If stories like this matter, consider subscribing for more untold history.